Hey guys, welcome back to Getting Stronger, the channel that provides middle-aged people, ages 30 to 60, all the motivation, inspiration, and education they need to get back in the game. Now today, we're going to be talking about strength training, and you don't want to miss it, so stick around.
Hey everybody, I'm James. I started this channel because one day I woke up and realized I was 43, but felt like I was 83. Every day, my body could do one less thing than it could do the day before. So if you're like me and you've had enough, then put on your shoes and welcome to Getting Stronger.
Hey guys, glad you stuck around. So here in the UK, the lockdown started back in March. All the gyms began to close down, and since then, many of us, if not all of us, had to move our workouts to our house, right? Either inside or outside. And even now that the gyms have started reopening back up, many people, including myself, have just not taken that step to go back to the gym. We're still working out at our houses or maybe out in parks. I myself haven't been back to the gym since March. Now, to be honest with you, I've actually found that this really hasn't disrupted my training in pretty much any way. I'm still able to train, almost every system of fitness, from balance to speed, to agility, to endurance, coordination, flexibility, et cetera, et cetera. But the one area that's really been challenging, and I'm sure you can probably relate, and that's strength training. So the reason why strength training at home is so challenging is because at the foundation of all strength training is a principle called progressive overloading. Now it sounds fancy, right? It's not. All it means is you lift 10 pounds until it gets easy, and then you lift 15 pounds. And then you lift that over and over until it gets easy, and then you lift 20 pounds. That's all it means. But that's how you build strength. Now that's easy to do at a gym where you have miles and miles of weights, right? You got racks of dumbbells, you got plates all over the place. It's always easy to just add 5 more pounds. But when you're working out at home, or in your yard, or in the park, not so much. So if we're working out at home, we're basically broken up into 2 groups. We have those that don't have weights, and then we have those that do have weights. Either way you fall, we're limited. Because if you're on the side without weights, that means you're limited to calisthenic exercises. Calisthenic means body weight. And obviously, your body weight is what it is, right? No more, no less. It's not going to change. So you're limited. And then if you fall on this side, maybe you have a dumbbell or some kettlebells, or maybe if you're advanced, you might have a barbell with a set of plates, maybe some 20-pound plates or some 45-pound plates, whatever. But typically, that's going to be what you have. It's going to be very limited. Probably going to be 1 set of dumbbells, maybe 1 set of plates. So the problem that we have, no matter which side we're on, is we have to be able to take the weight that we have and figure out ways to make it more challenging. So in today's episode, I'm going to share with you guys 3 lifting techniques that will help you take that same limited amount of weight that you have and make it 1,000 times more challenging. Okay, so tip number 1, it's by implementing a lifting technique called King Tut. Right? TUT, T-U-T, stands for time under tension. And rather than talk about it, it's just easier to show you. So I don't care what type of lift you're doing, squatting, bench press, pull-up, bicep curl, whatever. All lifts have a basic tempo, a beat, right? With the bicep curl, if you see people doing it in the gym, typically you're going to see this, right? They're going to go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, 7 and 8. Right? So that's the typical tempo. But with time under tension, King Tut, what you actually want to do is you want to just slow the music down, right? Slow the tempo down. So what you want to do is you want to go up on a 4 count, down on a 4 count. So instead of going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, it would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So immediately what that does is it just increases the amount of time that your bicep muscle or whatever muscle is under tension. And it increases the amount of time that that muscle is forced to have to be in a contracted state. This, of course, increases the amount of time that you're forcing that muscle to have to work. And the longer you make that muscle work, the more it's going to get stimulated, the more it's stimulated, the more it's going to grow, and it's going to get stronger. Okay, so technique number 2, incorporating some isometric contractions. So all that means is that when your muscle contracts, when it's working, it does it 3 different ways. 1, it will concentrically, which is when the muscle gets shorter. When I'm doing a bicep curl, when my arm begins to curl up and I bend at the elbow, the muscle is concentrically contracting. And then when I allow the muscle to get longer as I go back down, that's called an eccentric contraction. But then there's a third type of contraction, which is called an isometric contraction, which is basically where I'm not really bringing it up and I'm not really bringing it down. I'm just kind of like meeting gravity and the force in the middle, right? So I can't push it up any further, but gravity can't push it down any further. We're kind of at a Mexican standoff here, and that puts a tremendous amount of tension and stress on the muscle. So incorporating tip 2 in conjunction with tip 1, what I like to do is I like to do a 4-second tempo up, and then I do an isometric hold for 4 seconds before I go into the 4-second eccentric contraction. So that would look like this: a 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to isometrically hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to eccentrically contract the muscle as I go down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that brings us to tip number 3, which is keeping that muscle in what I like to call that high tension zone. And what I mean by that is that if you actually watch a muscle work, contract while it's going through a lift, it actually kind of goes like an arc, right? It goes through certain phases. There's a portion where the tension on the muscle, the stress on the muscle begins to build more and more and more. It increases to the point where you get to where that muscle is under peak contraction, meaning it's at a point where it is actually working as hard as it's possibly going to work during that lift, right? When I mean during the whole lift, meaning from the time you take it from point A and move it to point B. So in a bicep curl, you're taking it from point A here to point B here, right? Typically. And so there's a point during this cycle where the muscle is working harder, harder, harder until it hits peak. And then it starts to kind of wane to where it actually gets easier. And I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so with this bicep curl, check it out. What happens is you start out with your arm at the 180 degree position. But as I begin to bend at the elbow and contract this bicep, my bicep begins to really work, and the amount of tension on the bicep begins to build. So right now I'm going to begin bending. Now this bicep, as you can see, it's already starting to contract, concentrically contract. So here I go, it's getting harder and harder and harder and harder. Now right about when I hit 90 degrees, as you can see my elbow is at 90 degrees. That's where I'm at peak contraction. This is the hardest point in the arc. My bicep will not work any harder above it or below it. But once this weight goes beyond this threshold and I pass this 90 degree, it actually begins to wane. The tension on the muscle begins to diminish. And then I come up here and it's almost as though I have no tension on the muscle. I could actually stand here like this for an hour. It's really not hard at all. It's not putting any real tension on my bicep muscle. Other muscles here are supporting this weight, but it's not my bicep. So the trick is modifying the exercise so that you keep that muscle in that high tension zone. In this particular case with this lift, the tension zone is from 180 degrees to 90. So pretty much that means that my bicep is doing 98% of the work from here to here. Once I pass this, gravy, it's easy, right? So here to here. So I just try to basically keep my bicep as I'm repping right here in this tension zone. I never let it go up here and past that threshold, okay? So that's it for today's episode. I really hope you find those 3 tips that I shared with you today helpful. If you do, please leave me a comment down below and let me know. You can also write me on Facebook at Keep Getting Stronger or Brummy Jumpers, BRUMMIE. I look forward to hearing from you guys then. So until next time, remember, as always, Psalms 139 verse 14 says that each and every one of us were fearfully and wonderfully made, and we came from the hand of our Creator above. Our Heavenly Father loves you, He adores you, and He has a wonderful plan for your life. And that plan is going to require you to have energy, strength, vigor, vitality, and we get all of these things by taking care of ourselves, by eating well and exercising every single day. So for the rest of this day, whatever you eat, whatever you drink, and whatever you do, just keep getting stronger. And I'll see you guys back on our next episode.